Are you living your own life, or the life others designed for you? From the moment you took your first steps, the world began to write a story for you. Be a good boy. Get good grades. Don't speak too loudly. Choose a safe career. With every compliment, with every approving look, an invisible seed was planted, the belief that your worth depends on the eyes of others. But what if all of this is a silent prison? What if this endless quest for approval is actually what's keeping you from who you truly are? Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. And you will call it fate." How many times have you walked a path you weren't even sure you wanted, just to be accepted? How many times have you silenced your truth out of fear of being judged? This prison isn't made of iron bars, but of invisible expectations. It shapes your dreams, your choices, your relationships, all without you even realizing it. Today, I invite you to ask yourself a question few dare to confront. Whose life are you actually living? Yours or everyone else's? In this video, we are going to peel back the invisible layers that have been holding your soul captive. We'll uncover the hidden mechanisms that keep you tied to others' approval and how to finally break free. Get ready for a deep, honest, and possibly painful journey. But I promise you this, on the other side, there is a freedom more powerful than anything you've ever imagined. And before we dive in, if you're seeking self-knowledge, inner freedom, and a true connection with your soul, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. Here we explore the shadows and the light within. Click to subscribe and become part of this journey of awakening. Now let's open the first door of this silent prison, and you might never look at your life the same way again. The invisible prison, living for approval. Since you were a child, you were taught a simple yet powerful lesson. You are loved when you please others. At first, it seems harmless. A smile when you say, "Thank you." A hug when you bring home good grades. Pride in your eyes when you choose the right path. But without noticing, you began building invisible walls around yourself. Walls made of silent agreements and unconscious fears. Each time you acted to gain approval, you laid another brick. Each time you swallowed your truth to avoid disapproval, the walls grew higher. You didn't realize it then, but you were crafting a cage with your own hands. Carl Jung spoke about the persona, the mask we wear to fit into society. At first, this mask feels like protection. It helps you be loved, accepted, seen. But over time, it becomes a prison. You begin to confuse the mask with your true self. Ask yourself, how many choices have you made not because they felt right, but because they looked right to others? How many dreams have you buried, afraid they would make you seem foolish? How much of your energy has been spent polishing a version of yourself that doesn't even feel real? Living for approval feels safe. It gives you clear rules to follow. Do this and you'll be loved. Don't do that or you'll be rejected. But this safety is an illusion. No matter how much you mold yourself, someone will always find fault. No matter how perfect you become, it will never be enough for everyone. Worse yet, the more you live for others, the more you lose yourself. You wake up one day, look in the mirror, and barely recognize the person staring back. The tragedy of living for approval is that it costs you the very thing you are trying to protect: your soul, your authenticity, your inner peace. And here's the harsh truth. Those who demand you to change are often too caught up in their own fears to truly see you. Their opinions are a reflection of their inner struggles, not your worth. Yet you continue to live behind these walls, afraid that if you step outside, if you dare to be yourself, the world will turn its back on you. But what if the opposite were true? What if stepping beyond the walls was the only way to find real love? The kind that doesn't ask you to be anything but exactly who you are. In the next chapter, we'll explore a painful but freeing realization. Most of the expectations you're trying to meet were never even yours to begin with. The weight of expectations. Who are you really trying to satisfy? Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day, a weight you never chose, filled with rules you never questioned. From the moment you could understand words, society handed you that backpack. Be smart, be beautiful, be successful, be good. And you, trusting the voices around you, accepted it without hesitation. You thought that if you just worked harder, smiled bigger, achieved more, you would finally feel complete. But whose dreams were you chasing? Whose standards were you trying to meet? Were they even yours? The truth is haunting. Much of the life you built may not have been created by your own hands, but shaped by the invisible hands of others. Parents, teachers, peers, media, all planting seeds in your mind. You must, you should, you have to. They told you what success looks like, what happiness looks like, what love should feel like. And you, eager to be seen, accepted those seeds as your own. You watered them with your time, your energy, your sacrifices. But the garden that grew was never truly yours. Carl Jung spoke about individuation, the sacred journey of becoming who you truly are, beyond the expectations of the collective. Yet most people never dare to walk that path. Why? Because stepping away from the crowd feels like stepping into loneliness. It feels like death, the death of who you were told you must be. And so, you compromise. You stay in jobs that drain your soul. You stay in relationships that suffocate your spirit. You adopt beliefs that feel foreign to your own heart, all because you're still trying to make someone, somewhere, proud. But here's the devastating realization. Even if you achieve everything they ever asked of you, it will never be enough, because it was never meant to be your journey in the first place. Every time you betray your own truth to satisfy someone else's vision, a piece of your soul withers. A time you silence your inner voice to avoid disappointing others, your real self drifts farther away. And yet, buried beneath all the noise, your soul is still whispering. This isn't who we are. There's more. There's something real waiting for you. The heaviest burdens are not the ones placed on your shoulders, but the ones you willingly carry in your heart. You don't have to keep carrying them. You don't have to live a life scripted by fear, guilt, or expectation. You have the power, the sacred right, to put down the backpack and walk your own path. But first, you must recognize how deeply you've been conditioned to believe that love is conditional, that you must earn your worth through sacrifice, conformity, and silence. And that belief is the greatest lie you've ever been told. In the next chapter, we will dive even deeper into the shadows of the unconscious and uncover how it secretly scripts your destiny without you even knowing it. The unconscious in control. When destiny is an unseen choice, there is a silent force shaping your life, one you rarely notice, yet it touches every thought, every decision, every fear. Carl Jung warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. It's a chilling truth. Most people believe they are in control. They think their choices are rational, their desires authentic, their paths freely chosen. But beneath the surface, something else moves the strings. The unconscious is a realm of forgotten wounds, hidden fears, old survival strategies. It holds every moment you were hurt and told to smile, every time you were shamed into silence, every dream you abandoned because it felt too much for those around you, without realizing it. These buried memories form the blueprint of your life. They decide who you love and who you push away. They decide which risks you take and which dreams you convince yourself to abandon. You think you're afraid of failure, but maybe you're really afraid of being seen. You think you're chasing success, but maybe you're really chasing a moment when someone finally says you're enough. The unconscious does not ask your permission. It whispers beneath your thoughts. It fuels your compulsions, your self-sabotage, your quiet despair. And when life doesn't go the way you want, You call it fate, bad luck, God's will, the universe being unfair, but often it's simply your own unseen patterns playing out again and again like a ghost trapped in a loop. Becoming conscious is not comfortable. It is a death and a rebirth. You must be willing to see how you betrayed yourself to survive. You must be willing to grieve the person you pretended to be. Only then can you begin to reclaim the power you unknowingly surrendered. Jung called this the process of shadow integration, the courageous act of looking into your hidden self. Without flinching, it means admitting that the enemy was never out there. It was always within. It means understanding that destiny is not something that happens to you. It's something you create through every unconscious belief you refuse to confront. When you dare to illuminate the darkness inside you, something extraordinary happens. You stop living on autopilot. You stop repeating inherited patterns. You begin to choose, truly choose, the life you want, not the life your parents dreamed of, not the life society expects, not the life your fears insist is safe. Your life, raw, authentic, yours. But the path to this freedom is steep and shadowed, and very few have the courage to walk it. In the next chapter, we'll confront one of the greatest illusions that keeps you trapped. The belief that if you just try hard enough, you can finally control how others see you. The illusion of control. Why you can never please everyone. From a young age, you were led to believe a dangerous lie. If you act the right way, if you say the right things, if you become the perfect version of yourself, you can avoid pain, you can avoid rejection, you can avoid being judged. And so, you tried, you adjusted your voice, your dreams, your very essence, sculpting yourself to fit every expectation placed upon you. But no matter how hard you worked to mold yourself, the criticism still came. No matter how much love you gave, betrayal still found you. No matter how carefully you planned, chaos still entered your life. Why? Because control is an illusion. You can do everything right and still be misunderstood. You can give your whole heart and still be abandoned. You can follow every rule and life will still break your heart. Not because you failed, but because life was never meant to be controlled. Human beings view the world through their own fractured lenses. Their judgments are not about you. They are reflections of their fears, their wounds, their limitations. When someone criticizes you, they're often projecting their own insecurities. When someone rejects you, it's rarely because of who you are, but because of the stories they carry inside themselves. Yet you continue to bend, to shrink, to mask your true self, in the desperate hope that you can somehow orchestrate a life free of pain. You cannot. The harder you try to control how others see you, the more trapped you become. You build your entire life around a shifting target, and that target was never yours to aim at. Freedom does not come from being perfectly understood. It comes from accepting that some people will never see you, and that's not your burden to carry. Freedom comes from realizing that your worth was never supposed to be determined by a world that doesn't even know how to see itself clearly. Imagine this. What if you stopped trying? What if you lived so rooted in your truth that the opinions of others became nothing more than passing winds, unable to shake you? That is where true peace lives, not in the absence of judgment, but in the absence of your need to be judged favorably. Life was never meant to be a performance. It was meant to be a dance, raw, imperfect, alive. The moment you let go of the illusion of control, the real you, the eternal, untouchable you, finally rises. And before we move forward, if you are finding yourself resonating with these truths, if you're ready to stop living for others and start reclaiming your soul, subscribe to the channel now. This is a sanctuary for those who are ready to awaken. Click to subscribe and join a movement of self-liberation and deep inner power. In the next chapter, we will expose the hidden forces that exploit your insecurities and why they need you to remain trapped in self-doubt. The system of insecurity. How society profits from your fear. Look around you, billboards, commercials, influencers, glossy magazines, all whisper the same message: you are not enough. But you could be, if only you had more. More beauty, more success, more possessions, more approval. It's not an accident, it's a system, one designed to keep you feeling small, incomplete, and endlessly chasing validation from the outside world. From the moment you're old enough to absorb images, you are trained to believe that your natural state is lacking. Your skin isn't flawless enough. Your achievements aren't impressive enough. Your happiness isn't shiny enough, and so you spend not just money, but energy, time, and soul. You buy the clothes to seem more desirable. You pursue titles to seem more respectable. You curate your life like a brand, desperate to be seen as worthy in a society that profits every time you feel unworthy. Insecurity is not a side effect. It is the product. It is the very engine that keeps the wheels of commerce, media, and control spinning. Carl Jung warned of the dangers of losing oneself in the collective, becoming just another mask, another echo in the endless noise. When you are insecure, you are easy to influence. When you doubt yourself, you are easy to sell to, easy to manipulate, easy to control. The system doesn't want you healed. A healed person doesn't need to buy approval. A healed person doesn't need to chase endless external markers of success. A healed person is dangerous because they can no longer be controlled. Through fear, ask yourself how much of your striving, your exhaustion, your dissatisfaction is truly yours, and how much of it was planted within you by a world that depends on your suffering to survive. If you woke up tomorrow and fully accepted yourself as you are, how many products would you stop buying? How many toxic relationships would you walk away from? How many illusions would crumble around you? You were never meant to live at war with yourself. You were never meant to see your own reflection and find it lacking. But as long as you remain trapped in the cycle of not enough, the system wins and your soul loses. You must realize you were born whole. You were born radiant. You were born enough. Your worth is not up for debate. It is not a currency to be earned or spent. It is your birthright. The moment you remember that truth, the illusions around you begin to collapse. You start to see the world not as it is sold to you, but as it truly is. And from that place of clarity, you can finally choose to step out of the game entirely. You can stop playing by rules you never agreed to. You can stop living a life built on manufactured fears, and you can start living, truly living, from a place of authenticity, power, and deep, unshakable peace. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the forgotten power that arises when you no longer cling to anything outside yourself, the sacred art of true detachment. The power of detachment, loving, working, and living without chains. What if true strength is not in holding tighter, but in learning how to let go? Since childhood, you were taught that love means possession, success means attachment, and happiness means achieving everything exactly as you imagined. You were told that if you just hold on hard enough to people, to dreams, to outcomes, you could guarantee your safety, but the opposite is true. The more tightly you cling, the more fragile you become. The more you depend on things going exactly your way, the more your peace shatters with every unexpected turn. True detachment is not indifference, it is not coldness, it is love without fear, action without obsession, existence without desperate grasping. When you practice true detachment, you can love someone deeply without making your happiness their responsibility. You can pursue your dreams passionately without making your identity dependent on their success. You can commit yourself fully to life without collapsing when it doesn't unfold according to your plans. Detachment is the art of saying, I am whole, whether I win or lose. I am enough, whether I am praised or rejected. I am free even when life doesn't go the way I wanted. Carl Jung taught that much of human suffering comes from the ego's insistence on controlling reality. The ego demands, it must be this way. And when life dares to flow differently, the ego suffers. But the self, the deeper, eternal part of you, does not cling. It trusts, it adapts. It knows that what is truly meant for your growth will never require desperate struggle to maintain. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop living in fear. It means you trust yourself enough to release what no longer serves you. You can still love fiercely, dream boldly, work passionately, but you do so with open hands, not clenched fists. You stop seeing outcomes as measures of your worth. You stop seeing others' opinions as judges of your value. You stop making your happiness conditional on the external world and anchor it within yourself. And paradoxically, when you let go, life flows more easily to you. Opportunities arise effortlessly, relationships deepen naturally, dreams unfold with grace rather than force. Because when you no longer demand that life behave a certain way, you create the space for miracles you never could have planned. Imagine the lightness of waking up each day without the burden of controlling everything. Imagine giving your best and releasing the rest. Imagine loving without fearing loss. Imagine living without fearing failure. That is the power of detachment. It is not about losing everything. It is about finally realizing that nothing can truly be lost. Because the most important things are already within you. Your peace, your wholeness, your freedom, and no one, no person, no outcome, no circumstance can ever take that away. In the next chapter, we'll witness the quiet revolution that begins inside you when you stop living for approval and start living from truth. The inner revolution, what happens when you set yourself free. Freedom does not arrive all at once. It sneaks in quietly, like the soft breath of dawn after a long, dark night. One day you simply realize you no longer feel the same desperate pull to be liked. You no longer carry the exhausting need to explain yourself. You no longer seek permission to exist. This is the beginning of your inner revolution. At first, it feels strange. You've spent so long bending, apologizing, editing yourself to fit the expectations of others that standing in your truth feels almost rebellious. You might even feel guilty, as if honoring your own soul is an act of betrayal against the world that taught you to betray yourself. But with each choice rooted in authenticity, your true self grows stronger. Your voice becomes steadier. Your steps become lighter. Your heart becomes clearer. You start making decisions based not on fear, but on alignment. You say no when your soul whispers no, without feeling the need to justify it. You say yes when your spirit leaps forward, without shrinking in fear of judgment. You realize that the people who truly belong in your life will celebrate your truth, not demand your sacrifice. You realize that success is not measured by admiration from others, but by the peace you feel within yourself. You realize that happiness was never hidden in the approval of the world. It was waiting inside you, buried under layers of fear and performance. Carl Jung called this process individuation, becoming who you were always meant to be, not who the world trained you to be. It is not an easy journey. You will lose things along the way. Relationships that depended on your submission, dreams that were never truly yours, identities that were crafted only for survival. But what you lose is nothing compared to what you gain. You gain the ability to look into your own eyes and see someone you recognize, someone you trust, someone you love. You gain the freedom to live a life that feels real, even if it doesn't look perfect from the outside. You gain the strength to walk away from anything and anyone that demands you abandon yourself. Most importantly, you gain a quiet, unshakable joy, the kind that does not rise and fall with the tides of external approval. It's a joy rooted in being, not doing, in existing, not performing, in simply being yourself, unapologetically, fiercely, peacefully. And from that place, something extraordinary begins to happen. When you no longer need anything from the world, you become magnetic. You draw people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with your truth, not your masks. You inspire others, not by trying to impress them, but simply by being fully alive. Your inner revolution becomes a quiet beacon in a noisy world, and it all begins the moment you dare to choose yourself. In the next chapter, we will complete this journey and uncover the greatest paradox. When you no longer seek approval, you gain the deepest respect from the world and from yourself. The journey to true freedom. The respect born from self-love. There is a moment, quiet, profound, when you realize you have nothing left to prove. You no longer crave applause. You no longer fear criticism. You no longer bend under the weight of expectations that were never yours to carry. You have returned to yourself. This is the essence of true freedom, not a freedom granted by society, not a freedom won by meeting conditions, but a freedom that rises naturally from within. When you love and accept yourself without permission, without negotiation, and something beautiful happens, the world responds. Those who once overlooked you begin to take notice. Those who once doubted you begin to respect you, not because you fought for their approval, but because you no longer need it. There is a silent power in someone who stands firmly in their own truth, a power that does not scream, does not beg, does not perform. It simply is. When you no longer chase validation, you embody authenticity. And authenticity commands a respect that approval-seeking never could. It's ironic, isn't it? The very thing you spent years chasing, respect, recognition, love, finds you the moment you stop needing it. Because when you are rooted in self-love, you become untouchable, not because you are closed off, but because your worth is no longer up for debate. It is sovereign, sacred, whole. Carl Jung spoke of the self, the integrated being who has reconciled the shadow, embraced the soul, and stands unshaken in the face of life's storms. This is your destiny if you choose it, a life where your peace is not dependent on others, a life where your joy is not conditional, a life where you are free to be exactly who you are, nothing more, nothing less. You will still face judgments, you will still face misunderstandings, but they will no longer control you. They will pass through you like wind through open hands, unable to leave a scar. You have transcended the old games. You have stepped out of the invisible prison. You have remembered who you were long before the world taught you to forget, and from this place, you can finally live. Not survive, not perform, live deeply, truly, fully. Your journey toward freedom does not end here. It unfolds every day with every choice you make to honor yourself, to trust your path, to love without fear. And remember, you do not walk this path alone. Every soul who dares to awaken, every soul who chooses truth over comfort, walks with you. We are all returning home, together. And before we close this journey today, if you feel the call to continue walking this sacred path of self-knowledge, freedom, and soul awakening, subscribe to the channel now. Click to subscribe and join a community of seekers, dreamers, and warriors of the spirit. Together, we rise.